Hey, Orange One here. So this is actually, I was playing this without actually doing commentary. Um, and so I figured now I'd add a little bit in. So I don't know if I'm gonna do the same thing to episode 7 because I was just kind of messing around with the humanimals is what I've seen people calling them online, but I mean, let's be real, they're ghouls. Like, I don't know, I've played a lot of Fallout 4 and whenever I see them, that's what I think of. But yeah, basically I think I'm I've gotten like the hang of throwing knife pretty nicely, which seems to work really well against most mutants. But you don't want them to have seen you. Like that guy hadn't seen me, so it was like an instant one knife kill. But if they do see you, it usually takes 2 or 3 knives, which can be really hard to hit because it takes a while for it to animate, and you gotta like keep your cursor on them. I have gotten, I don't know if it was in the recording, but I did get like a headshot with a knife on one of them that was charging me, and that still works. So like headshots with a throwing knife still work, but they're pretty tricky to pull off, especially on something like a Watchman. The humanimals also, the knives seem to work better with throwing. And so you can see there's actually a Watchman right there, and we could shoot them. But they're so close and so still. Yeah, like that's pretty sweet, you know. Like that's what the throwing knife is for. I did actually also, it's not in this episode, but it'll be in a later one, where basically there were some humans I was trying to take out with throwing knives, and they seemed to be just bouncing off, and I was kind of confused as to why. I think it's because they were hitting like pouches or stuff. I've seen online that with this Metro game they've changed that. So if it hits a pouch, it doesn't really do as much damage as it was doing. I think what I was trying to do here was get to that tower that's just up to the right. Because there's I don't know if they're, what would you call them, like a stalker is what you'd call them if you were playing, whatchamacallit, well, the stalker games. See, that didn't actually kill that one because they've seen us. And I think I wasted that one. But I had to take him out. Now the other watchman will know where we are. We're one knife down. Yeah, that was a lot of ammo to use up in that situation. So yeah, I think I decided to just reload because I was not happy with how much ammo I used up there. From what I did want to include that though, because it kind of shows off a nice couple things about how the knives work. With like when it does take them out, when it doesn't take them out. If I look out my window, it kind of looks like the Volga right now, and it's not as like, you know, swampy, but I just got hit by like a huge snowstorm. So I mean, where I live, it doesn't usually snow quite like this, but it's kind of cool. I think honestly, at this point, I was just kind of practicing the throwing knives. I do remember just absolutely loving that in the other games. I think I was just trying to like make my way to that tower. I've forgotten, to be honest. It's been I recorded this a few days ago, to be honest. I also was kind of playing around with DX12 and 11. I did end up contacting customer support, and I did get it working for me. DX12, but Yeah, its frame rate is like noticeably worse. And I don't think those knives actually went far enough to actually hit that watchman. But he did run off, so that's good. I don't know what determines when they run off or when they charge you. Luckily, though, we were able to recover those knives. I've had a couple situations where the knives seem to just disappear. That's like a lot of resources, 10 metal, to lose, at least on this difficulty. Yeah, I'm making my way towards that tower, trying to avoid these guys. And there's a lot of them right on the other side of this barricade. Oop. And yeah, we didn't lose the knife that time. But we did lose some pressure in a couple rounds, which I'm not too happy about. That starfish always like gives me a jump. At first I didn't know what it was that was making all these loud sounds. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could get over there. I don't know, sometimes it seems like it's super easy to get around Watchmen. Other times they just like will not leave you alone. That one I'm pretty sure was right by the van over there. We should be able to get our knife from this guy. Yep. I think at this point in the game you're just really resource starved and you're supposed to be just like sneaking around, at least on this difficulty. But as you can see, this dude will get some military rounds from him. He also has a pistol there, I believe, and so I don't know if it's some mods or if it was just some resources. I think if you pick up a mod you already have, you get like some metal and some chemicals. And at this point I was just heading back because I was happy with the resources spent versus gained, and just trying to get a save point. It is kind of funny how it's like, you know, the guys at the Aurora are like, come back here ASAP, and we're just like taking like day-long naps, you know. And I did notice someone say in the skybox, like the sky, it rotates in a circle. It doesn't like, it's not like a sun coming up and down. Like the skybox literally is just going around in a circle. So like what was north then turns east and then turns south then turns west, I'm pretty sure. You can kind of see that with the clouds. They just kind of go in this circular pattern. I've been really enjoying this game, so much so that I kind of for a couple days stopped playing my other games and just played this, like I think for like 2 days. And my computer is like on the verge of not really being able to handle it. It has like some kind of drops in frame rates, but it's pretty reliable. And it's still fun to play, you know, like with the current settings. I would love to have a computer that could turn it up higher, but I don't really play that many games that require a lot from a graphics card or a processor. I think what I really need to do if I look at my computer parts is get a new CPU, because I've got an i5, and I really should have an i7 by now. They cost so much money, like I'm not gonna just go spend the money myself. I mean, I'm still getting a lot of enjoyment from my i5, you know. I don't know, I might record a future episode in DX12 so you guys can see how it performs on the computer. I mean, I did the benchmark, and it was nearly identical, the performance on the benchmark, but then when I looked at the recording side by side of that, there was definitely, to me, it looked like the DX12 had more stutters and more issues, and you know, in a game where it's like a first-person shooter, you don't want it dropping down that low. Like, I was getting anywhere between 40 and 60 most of the time, and down to 30. And there was a couple frames where it got down to 20 frames per second. And that's like when you start seeing it, you know. But my average was like 40, 42. See, this time I was able to get to that tower right next to the tower without fighting anything. I think Crest's advice of just avoiding the mutants was a really good point. Like, you don't have to fight these guys. You'd have to watch your stamina when you're sprinting around, but for the most part, you don't really need to fight them, you know? And if you want to loot a certain location, sure, you need to fight them. And I didn't actually even check out this place, but I bet those trucks with the radiation have some loot hanging around there. It doesn't seem like too heavily guarded by creatures, so I'm pretty sure it's not worth it. You know how like game developers love to do that. If anything's worthwhile, they're gonna make you work for it. I do love the aesthetic of the Volga, and I wasn't sure why, but I was looking on Reddit. I go on Reddit quite a bit, but I was looking on there, and someone was saying how it really reminded them of the Stalker games. And I can totally see that. Like, I haven't played a lot of the Stalker games, mostly because my computer, it doesn't agree with it very well. I don't know why. I don't know if it's Windows 10 or what, but it makes my computer, like, I think my graphics card make like a weird sound where it's like a really high-pitched kind of like almost like screech or scream. And so yeah, I don't really play the Stalker games that much, but I did play, I think the first one for like the first like couple hours of it, and it was fun, you know. But it's definitely a little bit dated at this point, and it definitely concerns me hearing my computer make those sounds. I mean, it ran it fine. It was just like, there's a couple games that make my graphics card kind of scream. It's like Crysis 2 does that. Far Cry to a lesser extent sometimes, not so much. And then the one that I've really noticed is Stalker. Really, it just sounds awful. So this was my first time going into this area. I wasn't really sure how to approach it, so I think I took a little while assessing how I wanted to fight these guys and see what resources we could pick up around here. But, you know, without the prompts, it's so hard knowing what you can and cannot pick up. These things, half the time you can pick them up, half the time you can't. But if you're listening closely, you can hear the humanimals making their sounds. I've actually turned off how I'm recording this right now is I'm watching this in shotcut, and I have a OBS going, and I've actually turned off sound from the computer, so I'm only getting audio from my mic right now, and I'm watching it on shotcut, so I think that should line up pretty well. I'm hoping. This is the first time I've actually done that. I'm actually just gonna, this might throw things off, but I'm gonna pause the game. And then, so what I did was I paused the game and then went to OBS and paused that and stopped that and started it back up. Just because I've had some kind of power issues, I don't want to lose the whole OBS recording, because if computer, if power goes out and computer crashes, I lose. Like, the save gets corrupted and I can't recover it from OBS, so figure while we're watching this, just be a little cautious. Just like you know in the game how I'm being a little bit cautious. I mean, we're pretty starved for resources right now. You know, we've got, I don't even think 8 beads in the T-car, and I think we've got a little bit of rifle ammo, but we don't have much pistol ammo. So we don't really have ammo just to be wasting on these guys, but this seems like, if you look on the map, it's like, this seems like a place that there should be some stuff. And when you see like the level design that people like to do with the with this game, it's like, okay, there's things just hanging out around here. There's probably some resources usually. I saw online people saying just run away from the mutants and just don't even engage at all. I think if you're being smart about how you're engaging them, it can totally be worthwhile. And look, that knife we couldn't even see. It was like somewhere in the ground, but we were still able to pick it up. I was just peeking up to see what humanimals we have around us. I was really stressed out at this point. I was just like so nervous that they're gonna see me and just all descend on me. And of course we're wasting knives. Precious knives. Because like I said, it does take 10 metal to make one of those, so if we lose it, it's kind of a big deal. Of course we threw the 2 knives there and we missed both. And they've seen us now. And from what I remember, we just lost those knives. Yeah, couldn't pick those up. So now we've got all these dudes sending us. I was not happy at this point. I thought I was gonna have to maybe reload the save. And yeah, it's never good if you're using rifle ammo on these guys. It's usually a last resort. I think if I had been smart, I would have just ran away from here and tried to get sneaky again. But I didn't really know what I was doing at this point about how to fight these dudes. I mean, all things considered, we did get a few headshots, so it wasn't a complete waste. And there was one, again, that was not a headshot. Of course, they're throwing bricks at us. I mean, you are able to move pretty quickly. There was another headshot. 3 headshots to take out the big ones, the blue guys. Seems a little excessive, you know? I was getting worried that we were using too much of our... God, look at that hair on them. When they get up close like that, that's pretty cool to see the hairs that they've got on them. I think they just put hairs on guys just so they could show off their hair physics with the hair works. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks totally great. But I also have a kind of a problem with the humanimals. It's like, how long is this after the apocalypse? Like, what, 20 years? And there's like humans that have turned into like feral creatures that barely even resemble people. Seems a little bit fishy to me, you know? I do like how in Cataclysm it's like, oh, it's the blob. That's always the excuse, it's the blob. In this game, it's like, what's the excuse for this advanced rate of evolution? It's not even over multiple generations. Like, as a biologist, it's like, if you're gonna have evolution. There should be multiple generations happening here. Like, how many generations happened in 20 years? 2? Maybe? Tops? With, like, humans? And we've got these creatures that are wildly different. I mean, I suppose with the radiation, but that would create more randomness than what we're seeing with these dudes. These dudes all seem to be, like, the same species. And at this point, I'm just like, you know, let's just go for it. We've wasted so much ammo, let's just see what's around here, resource-wise. And this, I think, is what they were talking about with the Zarfish. This being like, basically where those dudes were like, hey, go check out this place, it's heavily irradiated, and the Zarfish hangs out there. And there's the Zarfish. Clipping through the ground. Someone was saying, I wonder if it's like if you get bad karma for killing the Zarfish. I have no idea, but I would imagine that the fanatics would not take too kindly to you killing their god. I do really like how they represent the fanatics in this game. It's pretty cool. Seeing people like worshipping the mutant catfish that's nearby. I mean, at this point I just don't have the ammo to really justify getting that bigger magazine. If anything, I should be going with the smallest magazine because it helps with your, I think, stability. Makes it a little bit more wieldy. So if anything, I should have the smallest magazine. But I'm not. You know, once I get more rifle ammo, it makes sense to have the 30 round magazine. It really drives me crazy how when you check your time pressing Y, you can't see the ammo in your gun. Like, I loved in the old Metro games like Last Light and Redux, when you checked your time, you could see exactly what ammo's in your gun. Like, they designed all the guns. Like with the Kalashnikov, you can see the rounds a little bit in those magazines. But you can't do that with the pistol, with the revolver, which makes sense. And you can't really do it with a couple of the guns, but you can with you can do it with a fair amount of the guns, like the whatchamacallit, like the T-car. You can see the rounds there. And I think this right here is just like a landmarker that there's land, so you can cross between the flags and you won't go into the ground. This is a pretty cool location. I think that this is like the whole point of fighting through that whole area. So I'm excited to show you guys what we found here. There's a couple people. And this, I remember this animation from old games. I do love the animations in this game. I just wish that Y, when you press Y, you could see the ammo better in those guns that display it, you know? Because, like, it's like, why would you change that? It's nice being able to visually see the ammo left in something. And you've got them in the guns, why not show it off, you know? Yeah, and then I noticed these two guys just hanging out up there, and that kind of freaked me out. I wasn't sure what was going on here, so I thought maybe that... I mean, in the other games, whenever you encounter people out in the world, they're bandits, you know? So that was my immediate assumption, was these dudes are bandits, and this is their hideout. We haven't aggroed them, so we can kind of check things out a little bit. And we did actually just get a save point, so at this point I was like, okay, let's just roll with it. We lost some ammo, but you know, if we look at our resources, we got some metal still, and we got plenty of chemicals. So we can make more of these, and then use those as needed to take these dudes out. And if you look there, we only had one round left in the T-car. it's like pretty much empty. And yeah, you can kind of see it in the model right now that there's only one left on the upper left-hand side of the gun, but I don't think I even noticed that. Yeah, I was just trying to take these dudes out with the one. And then I saw, oh, they're villagers. And I've holstered my gun by holding down H.
Well, I'll be. He doesn't turn his satanic light on us. His gun is holstered. He's a human after all, even though he is a heretic. He has some sense even. His soul may not be completely lost.
You wish. Do they even have a soul, them heretics?
Look at his armor. Yeah, that's a work of Satan, all right. I wish our paladins had something like that, though. Of course, blessed by Father Silentius. We'd never have lost the train depot or the tower to those bandits. We'd still have it all, and they'd all be in hell. We'd be cutting them down like dogs. Oh, well, hello, heretic. Did you come to tempt the faithful, or to terrorize? Look at his armor. Yeah, that's a work of Satan.
Yeah, see, so because I took the gun out, they started repeating their conversation, which kind of annoyed me.
We'd never have lost the train depot or the tower to those bandits. We'd still have it.
I don't know if I stayed for the entire conversation or if I left.
Cutting them down like dogs.
It is temptation. Temptation by technology and its satanic power.
You're right. But really, damn.
Yeah, so I did let them finish their conversation. And then when I walk away, I think they start back up with what they were talking about. So I think I was just trying to find the fuel, because usually in the old games you could find fuel somewhere, and it would let you kind of go on with what you're doing. I mean, we don't need to be doing this, but it just seems like, okay, this place is locked up. It's at the end of fighting all those enemies. There's got to be something in here worthwhile, you know? There's some goodies in here. And we've just wasted all that ammo. We might as well just spend a little bit more time looking for the fuel so that we can get in there. And it's just like reeks of puzzle, you know? When you see all the cords going that way visually and you can follow them. It's like Half-Life 2 almost, you know? They did a lot of that where you're like, oh, this connects to that, so I need to turn this switch and that'll turn that on. And then I need to go over there. And yeah, so I kind of knew I was in the right neighborhood. I just need to spend a little time looking around. And here we go. Gas. Oh, you can also, if you didn't notice, those dudes were talking, so you can get a little backstory about why they're out here. It sounds like one of them was hitting their wife, so the dude sent them out here to go fishing without any weapons. Seems like he's trying to have natural selection take him out, you know? So it seems like Silentius, at least he doesn't stand for like abusive relationships, so it's not all bad. Seems a little harsh though. Just be like, yeah, you're gonna die like the humanimals and the Watchmen, they're gonna get you. So I knew that there was some power going on here. Looks like it was going over here. And those switches, you know, you've seen them a lot in the old games, so you kind of know what they do. Let me know if this this comes out okay, because I think it will. Or I'm talking over an old recording. I personally kind of like it. I mean, it takes twice as long for me to record anything because I have to rewatch the whole episode myself, but you know, it's kind of nice being able to play the game and not worry about talking, and then be able to go back and do the talking. Kind of less stress, especially during the combat, because the combat, like, it's so hard trying to like talk and do the fighting. So yeah, we can see there's a little circuit right there that we need to get into, and I saw there's a hole in the roof up there. I don't know if you noticed that. So it looks like there must be a way to get up. And I noticed, yep, this looks like a way to get up here. And oh yeah, I totally got freaked out by this dude just being there. I thought this was like, okay, they're setting us up. That dude's gonna jump out at us. Or like fall on top of us when we go down there. And if they have something over here, like an area we can go, we should check it. Because, as always, they're gonna stick... Oh, look, there's an Easter egg right there. The book about this adventure. They're gonna give you some resources if you just spend an extra time looking around. Oh, and look in the mirror. We have no reflection. Guess Artyom's a vampire, you know? So yeah, I was just kind of cautious about this dude falling on top of us, so I wanted to see if I could like melee him or something. It doesn't look like it. But we're down here. There's no resources. I think at this point we'd gathered a decent amount of resources so we could kind of change things as needed. I love that animation. You know, it's such a simple one, but it's so cool how you're able to use your little battery charger to start up these things, just give them a little jolt. It's a classic from the other games. If you do that a number of times to turn the lights on. Especially when they have the spiders. Oh man, I'm sure they'll have us do that in a later level. I saw some people complaining that this felt a little bit like the old games, but I love the old games so much, like, I'm fine with it feeling a little bit like them. I know the animations are really on point, but Artyom does get caught on things, which is a little annoying. I thought I was trying to loot something from that soldier that was down there. But we can't loot anything from him. I think what you can loot is this... Yeah, not this dude. I'm pressing E trying to loot him. But you did hear me kind of pick up that thing that was on that dude's chest. I haven't actually gone to a workshop yet. I kind of pushed forward, so I don't know exactly what it is that we got there. But I think it's something special from what I've seen online. I'm probably gonna end this episode pretty soon by the looks of it. Yeah, I've got like another 20 seconds or something like that, so thank you for joining me and I'll see you guys next time. As soon as we get the